Welcome back to the SevereMMA YouTube channel, and today I'm joined by Pedro "The Game" Carvalho, who's taking on Daniel Weichel at Bellator 270 this Friday, the 5th of November, in the 3Arena in Dublin, kicking off the main card. Pedro, how are you doing today? Quarantining at the moment at the hotel?
Yes, I'm great, Danny. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, this is your first time fighting in front of a 3Arena crowd, isn't it? Are you looking forward
Yes,
to
it
it?
is. It's my that is only my first time, but it's always was something, or I was fighting on US or here on that, and finally I make my debut.
Yeah, are you looking forward to the crowd?
Oh man, I'm buzzing because it's like a mixing of things that makes this like the perfect, everything. It's the time, like I'm fighting on the time frame that I wanted. I'm fighting the guy that I wanted in the division, that is, it just seems to be, the right name, in concerns of like status and everything. Making my Dublin debut, 3 Arena debut, and the most important, that is like two things in one, that is fighting again in front of a crowd
Hmm.
and the pound for pound best crowd in the world. So it's everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And on top of all that, like I'm just gonna show everyone the best version so far of me, undoubtedly.
Absolutely. And like everyone kind of knows the Dublin crowds are very boisterous. Like, do you think it'll be extra special with, it being kind of the first big show back after COVID, the pandemic? It hasn't been great the last couple of years. So I'd say everyone's itching to get in.
I'll put my money that this is gonna be the best, Dublin show so far. Not only the card is great, it's unbelievable, but also this is, the first show back, so everyone will be buzzing, everyone will be super excited to be on the fight event, on a Bellator event
Mm.
again. So like I've said, it's just like a mix of a bunch of things that makes this just perfect.
Yeah, because both, was it the Pitbull fight and the Wilson fight? They were both without crowds, right?
It
Yeah.
was
Like, would you
yeah.
be a fighter who would thrive off the crowd, like it buzz off the energy, or?
Oh man, like I need, like, it's like without crowd, it just feels you are having a really intense kind of spar,
Mm.
a spar that you can get hurt. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
severely hurt. That's it. But like you never get the real feel that you are into a fight, because it's just and it's not only that, it's like it's just awkward. You're
Mm.
walking in, it's kind of that awkward silence, like that thing when you are in a room and someone tells a joke and everyone gets awkward about it. It's kind of
Yeah.
the
It's
same.
like, oh, let's move on.
Everyone is just like, because everyone, is basically everyone around is just Bellator staff, so they are kind of neutral, so they are just, keeping cool. The only thing you hear is your corner and his corner, and nothing else. So no, it's definitely weird. I bet there's a lot of fighters that like more like that, but I miss the crowd. I miss that energy. It's I always saw the fight thing, the fight game, like, modern day gladiators, and gladiators didn't fight for no crowd. That the crowd had to be there. That was the purpose. So I kind of think the same. Fight with no fans, it's not a real fight. I mean, a fight is a fight, but the show is not the same.
And I want to talk to you about the upcoming fight, of course. But first, I want to get to know you a bit better. And like what was life growing up for you in Portugal? Like, whereabouts did you grow up in Portugal? And I guess, how did you find MMA eventually?
So life was tough, man. I come for a real humble, poor background. I was raised by my mom and my aunt, and they always made the best, and kind of, they passed me a lot of values. And the MMA thing was kind of by I discovered MMA by accident, by accident, not by accident, but it was just like a show that started in Portugal a few years ago when I was like 12, 13. And with some classics, some UFC classics. And I straight away on the first episode, I fall in love with all that thing, two guys fighting inside of a cage with the real small gloves, and they striking, they go to the ground and everything, and all that just made me fall in love. And later, I found out that in my hometown, Guimarães, up north of Portugal, I had the team, you know, and straight away joined it. I spent there 7 years, 8 years until I, you know, decided to, you know, if I really want to exceed what I want to exceed in my career, I had to move on. And that's when I came to Ireland with 21 years of age.
Yeah. So like, did you have any martial arts background at all, or was it straight into MMA from the
No,
beginning?
nothing. I had nothing at all. I just have the dream and the desire of fighting, you know, in MMA. MMA was always, you know, was my love. Like I knew boxing, kickboxing, but even though I like fighting and everything, those never made me be stuck in front of a TV watching, you know, even though if something, a video or something, I would look for a video or two. Yeah. But, you know, I never follow it. But MMA just got me stuck. I was like, oh, what is this? You know,
Do you remember who was fighting when you were watching?
I
on
remember,
TV?
I remember. The two fights that I remember was Georges St. Pierre against Frank Tree.
Oh yeah.
And the classic Forrest Griffin against Stephan Bonnar.
What a fight! What a
so
fight!
It's kind of easy. It's kind of easy to get fall in love. There was like more fights. It was like in each episode had like 4 or 5 fights, but I don't remember the other ones. Those were the ones that got stuck me because was you know one of the best fights ever in MMA sport. And the other one was just like the dominance of Georges St. Pierre, the perfection of the technique and the way that he, you know, because I was used to watch WWE. I was a pro wrestling fan. I think like everyone. And I was used to see like kind of fixed fights, you know, and suddenly I see a guy.
They're not fixed. They're real. They're real.
Yeah, that is not. It's not fixed. It's real. And this guy is making a real fight look fixed because he's just going there and whoop him like that. And, you know, all that just made me, you know, not only fall in love, but like a fascination for the sport and an interest and curiosity to know more about it. And yeah, it was inevitable until like when I discovered there was a team in my city. It was like I remember I discovered on a Wednesday. On Saturday morning, I was do the subscription for the gym and, you know, starting.
And so if let's go back to say before you moved over to Ireland. So you were you were 5-3 in your career on a 2-fight skid, and you're 21 years old. How did you end up making the transition over to Ireland? Because like you've been from there, it's like this amazing story of where, you know, you've come over after losing a few fights and you go on this great run in the Irish scene and then on to Bellator. So how did you end up transitioning over to Ireland and finding SBG?
Yeah. So yeah, after my second loss, that second straight loss over there, me and my girlfriend, we just came to like things are not working, and if I really want this, we have to do something, you know. And I remember we were talking about MMA, and we started to talk about Conor, and she thought that Conor was, you know, living in US and training in US, and I said no, he's training in Ireland. He's still with his team. And she asked me who was the coach and what was the team, and I explained it was SBG, you know, and the coach was, for me, and I think overall the best coach in the world, that is John, you know. And she straight away, you know, made it so simple. I'm like, well, Ireland is like 2 hours away from here in an airplane, so Ireland seems to be a fine destiny. And I was really like, yeah, you know, that, because, you know, sometimes when you want something, you kind of at the same time put yourself down in a way that, oh, that's too good. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You always think, oh, that's too good. So you start to think in other things.
Almost like
But
an imposter syndrome, kind of.
yeah. So I like straight away think like she's right. Like if I want to be the best, I have to be working with the best. That's the way. And yeah, the first major problem was we never been in Ireland.
Mm.
We didn't knew anyone that been in Ireland by vacations or whatever. So what we did was we book a 1 week flight to here so I can come to the gym, present myself to John, and at the same time look for a job and a house to stay. In the end of the week, we didn't find anything. So it was devastating because all our hopes and everything, because I during that year, I spent all the year. I stopped training. I started work on the factory so I could join some money so I could come. And suddenly, all the sacrifices was kind of gone because we didn't got anything. So on our way back to Portugal, we kind of came up with the same idea at the same time. Is like, first thing we're gonna do when we arrive in Portugal, we're gonna book one-way ticket to Ireland. We arrive, and that's it. When we arrive, we arrive. There's no way back. And that's what we did, and here I am.
Wow. So you and your girlfriend moved over then. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And like, did you like your English is amazing? Did you speak as
at the
good at
time
English
was kind
back
of
then?
rusty, but then you got better.
Yeah. And did you like? You can talk shit if you want. Do you like living in Ireland?
I love Ireland. Like I carry like every single time I fight, I carry the Irish flag. Not only because I from day one I was so well received and was treated and supported like an Irishman. So at the same time, I straight away, I don't know if it was that feeling of I was just a kid pursuing their dream, so everything seems great. But from day one, I fall in love with this city, and I came from a very patriotic city. Like from our city, you have big proud Guimarães because that was where Portugal was born, the first king and everything. So we always say in Portugal that before we are Portuguese, we are from Guimarães, and Dublin was the first place where I felt I was in home outside my city, outside my country, and it's just everything made everything so easy when you just feel loved, feel supported and treated, and when things are just natural, not forced. And that was my experience in Ireland, and this country will forever be in my heart. I will forever represent and try my best to also defend the tricolor flag as mine. And I kind of will always consider myself a bit of Irish.
I think it's safe to say you're an adopted Irish son at this point. We were joking, saying
yes,
the usual trope of
I like to think like that.
Born in Portugal, forged in Ireland.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
And so, right, you moved to Ireland. You're 22 years old, and you start fighting in the Irish region.
2021.
2021, and then you were like 22, right, when you had your first fight in Cage Legacy, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so
because it took me a while. It took me a while to have a fight. Yeah, because my first year in Ireland was rough. I couldn't get a job, and then it was hard to find a fight. When I found a fight, the fight had to be canceled because it came an MRI saying that with anomaly, so my career could be over.
Oh wow!
Then I
didn't know about that.
Yeah. And then it came out then I went to the neurologist. I still working with him, and everything was good. Came out, everything was okay. And later that year, I got the first fight in Cage Legacy.
Yeah, and what was the injury that you had to get the MRI for?
It wasn't an injury, it was an anomaly.
Oh,
So I don't want to say any mistake because I'm not a doctor, but for what I understand is like the machine that makes the MRIs, it's programmed, to oversee a big part of your brain. So everything that it comes up that is not or programmed or wasn't supposed to be there, it will accuse on the result as anomaly, even if it isn't. It will. So
okay.
the only way to you to see if it's anomaly or not is going to a neurologist, and this is if it's just a normal thing or if it's serious or not.
Gotcha.
So
And
like,
then,
I don't ask me like the medical name of what it is, but it's kind of like
yeah, I'll ask you to do a PowerPoint presentation on it next week now.
yeah, I don't know if it's like a vessel or something, but it's nothing serious. It's nothing serious.
Right. So, and then, so like, you start fighting a Cage Legacy, you go on this run on the Irish scene, you win the Cage Legacy lightweight title, and then you get signed by Bellator and you go 4-0, 3 finishes and like flying. And then at 25 years old, you're facing Patricio Pitbull, who, he's up there definitely as, one of the greatest fighters to ever fight for
Yeah.
Bellator. How obviously, like, look, you took a first round KO loss. How do you reflect on that fight now with a bit of time having gone by?
To be honest, I'm in a great place right now. I'm in a great place. I know I'm in a place where I don't remember the last time I was in such a good place. But this past year, this year, because it will make like 1 year since my Patricio fight. There was in November last year. It was probably not the darkest year of my career, and one of the darkest years of my life. After the loss, and that was on me. Because I was always very confident, always very confident since young kid. Since young kid, I tell to everyone I'm going to be on a big stage. I'm going to be fighting for world belts. I'm going to be the best. Blah blah blah. And suddenly I get on the big stage, and everything that I said that I will do, I was doing it. And then I get the title shot, and then the fight got canceled, and it was more time, and then it was media, and all that thing just keep my not only my confidence was was also very high, but then was my ego. My ego started to grow and overgrow my confidence, and it was kind of poisoning. So my mental aspect going to the Patricio fight was like a done deal. Like that was a done deal for me. Was that all that was meant to be, and I was way better than him on all the and I all that kind of ego overconfidence thing made me underestimate one of the best featherweights ever. And even if it wasn't Patricio, like when you go into a fight, there's another man with 2 arms and 2 legs right there. You have to respect him. You have to look him in the eyes and not underestimate it at all. And I did it and paid the price. And after that, I was, I got, I was so bad, so mean and kind of disappointed with all that. I just wanted to put their loss on my back. So I rushed into getting into a fight. And I remember, and I was surprised. I was actually supposed to fight Daniel Weichel, then I got COVID, and they replaced him with JJ Wilson. And I remember every day I was kind of trying to kind of trick myself that I was mentally ready, that I was physically ready. The hard work is always. I never get shortcuts. I always work hard, but mentally I wasn't ready. But I wanted to make myself think that I was ready. And when I realized, it was too late, because when I realized that, I was just waiting to my name to be called. That's when I was waiting to get into the cage and the announcer calls me. That was the first time in my career where I thought like I shouldn't be here. You know, I'm not
That's
ready.
when you're in the cage, is it? So
Yeah,
you're
well,
JJ Wilson standing
I
across
was
the cage from you.
backstage. Yeah, I was backstage just waiting to be called
Oh,
to go there. And it was just a mix of situation. You know, I lost all my corner. I was alone in US because of COVID restriction and everything. And I missed the birth of my baby girl. You know, and so at that point, I had a daughter that I didn't never met, and was all that energy, wrong energy, was just like one top of the other. I was trying to kind of surpass that, but you know, I just couldn't, because I rushed that moment too much. I needed to give myself time. And after the fight, I decided I will take this entire year, basically, or the rest of it, just for myself, for my family. And you know, I didn't want to think about nothing. I switched it off all my social media, and just live the life. And the target date will be in like November or December. And looking back now, was the best thing that I did, you know. And at the same time, looking back, you know, was two huge mistakes. You know, one cost me a title fight. You know, we never know what could happen in that fight. You know, it could be the same destiny, but I doubt it. But you know, it cost me a title fight, and then it cost me another loss. But at the same time, I can honestly say that right now I'm a fighter that I will never be if it wasn't for the losses, because at the same time, those losses made me see things that I was doing wrong, see things that I needed to work and I wasn't working on them, and things that I didn't need them was to focus, and I was over focusing on them. And even the way to approach and the way that I think as a fighter in a fight. So I'm really excited, not only because, you know, I just feel great and feel buzzing to all this, but I also feel excited to show to everyone, you know, what I developed, how much I improved, and how much of better of a fighter I am.
Pedro, that was an amazing insight there into the kind of the last year of your life. A couple of things I wanted to ask you about. Like, I know you look a bit mature, a bit more mature than your age is. Like, you're only 26 years old.
Yeah.
You know, but was it too soon to get a title shot at 25 years old? Do you feel that you weren't ready?
I mean, yes and no. Maybe it was too soon, yes, but I felt I was ready. You know, I felt I was completely ready. I felt that I could have done. I still believe that I can beat Patricio, especially now. But back then, I still believe that Pedro that was there could beat Patricio. You know, the problem was just like I came out there and I throw, you know, because of all their stupidity, immaturity, childish. You know, I remember I got into the cage. He got into the cage. I look at him, and my first thought was like, "Man, you are fucked." You know, like you are no fighter for me. And you know what? I was thinking this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock you out in the first round. So I throw all like the game plan was completely the opposite. The game plan was, you know, stay on distance on the first round, you know, make him go around, you know, whatever. Second round, you know, kind of start to gear up, and then third, fourth, and fifth will be my rounds. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna knock him out. And I rushed him, you know, and you know, the rest you all know. And so, you know, that's kind of, you know, answer your question, yes and no. Maybe a bigger yes. I kind of agree. Maybe it was too soon, but it is what it is. Life is made of opportunities, and the opportunity presented himself, and I got myself ready. But that's the yes part, because you know, my ego, my childish, my immaturity got the best of me, and you know, I paid a price.
And Pedro, I think you've displayed many times in your career so far, just like the level of commitment that you have to kind of throwing yourself wholeheartedly into the sport and into your passion and pursuit of greatness. Missing the birth of your child, and I believe, you know, she was born a month before your fight even, and you still haven't got to see her. That must have been very difficult going into the fight. And what was it like to finally get to meet her after the fight?
Oh man, it was like all the problems that I had, and it was, you know, I was really down. I was really down. That JJ Wilson fight was the deepest, darkest thing that I ever hit in my life. I never felt that bad in my life. So this is, you know, this is the first time that I say it. I don't have any problems to say it, but that was the deepest, you know, that was bad. I felt really, really bad. And then I, you know, fly back straight away on the next day. And when I finally got my daughter in my arms, like all my problems were gone. You know, everything was gone. And straight away on that moment, I got a brief thought that, man, I already have my son, but also, you know, when you have your newborn daughter, and you met her, you just like, man, I'm gonna do everything, absolutely everything. Nothing gonna miss them. And straight away, the bad thoughts that I have were just gone. But at the same time, I did, and I forced myself to do what I did. Because it's really hard. Like, I'm saying this because it was my entire life. I said, like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna switch it off for MMA, and I'm just gonna focus on my loved ones. And I always failed to do that. So, but I managed to do this. You know, also my baby girl helped me to just, you know, I didn't care about anything else. And yeah, it was just magic.
That's amazing.
And also was also double magic because, you know, of course I was meeting my daughter, but also I was, you know, I missed so much my baby boy, and was just good. It was great.
Of course, I'm sure it was incredible to have the whole family back together again. And
Yeah.
So going, I really admire the fights that you take. Like, so I think some people might say, Jesus, like, Pedro's just take, you know, out of the frying pan and into the fire kind of thing. So, you know, you're on a 2-fight losing streak. You've gone from fighting Patricio Pitbull, you know, world champion, to taking on undefeated prospect in JJ Wilson, and then, you know, you come out the losing side of both those fights, and now you're taking on a 43-fight veteran, or 50. He's a heap of fights anyway.
Yeah. He has more than 50 fights.
Yeah, I think it's a 53-fight veteran, I think, in Daniel Weichel. You know, 36 years old, veteran of the game, has fought for a title. Why Daniel Weichel?
I mean, it's just the fight there, you know, seemed to be right. You know, we both lost at that time when it was supposed to happen. It was in April. Like, we both lost in the same night. You know, on the quarterfinals of the tournament. We fought at the same night, so we kind of were fresh the same way, and we were kind of on the same spot in the rankings. At that time, he was one spot below me. Now I'm one spot below him. So, you know, and for me, it made a point, because not only is, you know, he's a great fighter, but, you know, he's one of, you know, the biggest names in the featherweight division in Bellator history. You know, he's one of the oldest guys around, and not everyone passed through him, you know, and everyone knows how tough of a fight is. So I knew that, and I know that, you know, because we are fighting again, we're scheduled to fight again. A win over him just puts me again on the track. And besides, like I've told many times before, I believe that I'm the best. I work to be the best. So I have no problems to fight any one of these guys, you know, and because if I was lying to myself and everyone. If I was a guy that I had problems to face whoever it is, I was lying. I was lying to everyone when I say that I'm the best, and I believe that I'm the best. So I truly believe it. I truly believe it because I know my work. I know what I'm capable of, and I don't look for easy way outs. I never look for easy way outs. You know, my life tells that I never look for a easy way out. That's the hard way. It's the way. It's the true way. It's the hard way. And I know that Friday I will make look like the easy way out.
How do you match up stylistically with Daniel?
I think we are very different and very similar. He's very technical. He's a very technical guy. His thing is like, he's not phenomenal in one specific thing, but he's very, very consistent in everything. I don't remember to watch him having a bad fight, you know, and he always try to bring the fight the most technical way possible. So we are both kind of well-rounded, you know, but at the same time, I think overall my skill sets overcome his skill sets, you know, what concerns of striking and concerns of grappling. Of course, he's a black belt, you know, and a good, you know, not a some black belt. He's a really good grappler. But I think I'm more dangerous in a way that I might not have the same number of solutions that he might have, but I consider myself more dangerous in the way that I look more riskier more to get a finish, while he's just take it and he goes step by step until you show him the finish. You know what I mean?
Is it a must-win fight for you?
It is, of course. I mean, every win is a must-win fight, but of course, in the situation I am, is a must-win fight. You know, if I have the goals that I have, and also in the position that I am, it's a must-win. It's a must-win fight, undoubtedly.
Pedro, I really appreciate the time. Just a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up. But give us a prediction for the fight. How do you see it going on Friday night in the 3Arena?
Well, this one maybe is some maturity that I gained, but you know, I'm looking for a 3-1 war, even though I'm gonna make it look like a one-side fight. I can see the finish, but I don't want to say a finish, because then subconsciously you get stuck to that idea. And you know, I like to stay open to every way. I know I can knock him out. I know I can submit him. So
you want to avoid that the first round of the Pitbull fight where the game plan goes out the window. And
exactly. You know what I mean? I know that if the finish has to appear, it will appear naturally, and I think that's the way that should be. Either way, I'm physically, mentally prepared for a war, but one way or the other, I'm gonna get victorious. That's for sure.
And then we've got two massive fights topping the card. So you're opening the main card, and then we have James Gallagher.
I'm opening the hostilities.
Yeah, opening the hostilities in the main card. And then James, of course, the Jimmy Show is back. Co-main event this time, because there's an even bigger fight at the top of the card. But James taking on Patchy Mix. How do you see that fight going?
I think, you know, I see that fight going to James, you know, all day. But the thing about James is, people don't realize how good he is until you do any work with him, you know, especially of grappling. I think Patchy Mix, you know, I think he will be the first one to shoot. And once they start to get in grappling exchanges, I think you will be very, very surprised how good, strong James is. You know, everyone gets it, like, because, you know, you just look at him, you know, he has that bantamweight body, you know, he's not very tall, and you're okay. And then you start to grapple with him, and you go like, oh shit. And
I always say he's deceptive, because he's not the most muscular guy. He almost looks like he's yet to grow into his like grown man body, but then he's so clinical and technical.
Yeah, and like he may, like, everyone says that, oh, he's fighting cans. No, he make that guy is looking like cans, because he's that good. He is that good, and I can see James submitting Patchy Mix. I can see Patchy Mix, you know, overgo in one concern of putting James down, thinking that he might get the better of it, and ends up submitting. That's my prediction.
And then the title fight to top the card, the rematch, Patricky Pitbull versus Peter Queally. Sorry, I should say Peter Queally versus Patricky Pitbull, seeing as he's the Irishman in the 3Arena. How do you see that fight going?
I see, I'm not, I'm being very, very neutral, but of course, I see Peter, not only because you could see what happened on the first fight, but this is even better for Peter. It's a 5-round fight, and that's what's very, 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 very good, Peter, and doesn't sweet so much for Patrick. Patrick is a very and more explosive fighter. And he never was known for having an incredible gas tank, especially now on these last fights. So I truly see Peter winning this fight by decision, and I really think that Patrick has nothing to threaten, nothing that he doesn't see on their last fight, like the calf kicks. The trying to surprise them with a takedown. I think nothing there is going to surprise. And I think just round after round, Patrick will notice that his fighting is getting away from his hands. And that's how I see the fight. I see the fight Peter winning by decision. Or eventually a late 4th 5-round stoppage.
The showstopper.
Yes.
Pedro, I've taken far too much of your time. I said we do around 20 minutes. I think it's already been around 35. So I appreciate so much.
I talk a lot also.
Yeah, it's your fault. I really do appreciate your time though. And I appreciate your honesty because, I think a lot of it would be easy to sit down and say, I don't care about the 2 losses and I'm back and I'm going to beat this guy. But you're very honest. So I do appreciate that. And I appreciate you giving the insight into how difficult it can be sometimes. And, looking at your career, you came over to Ireland, you were on that 2-fight losing streak and that amazing run, the run to the Bellator title. So who's to say you can't do it again? There's no better man to turn it around than the game, Pedro Carvalho. So thank you for speaking with me today. Best of luck on Friday night. So that's Friday night, 5th of November in the 3Arena in Dublin. So the prelims are kicking off at 5 p.m. Main card, which Pedro is going to kick off at 9 p.m. on Virgin Media 2, Virgin Media Sport in Ireland, BBC iPlayer in the UK, and Showtime Sports in the US. Pedro, the game, Carvalho, thanks for sitting down with us today and best of luck. Much appreciated, mate.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me and enjoy the show. Don't blink.